I'm Bryan Houston with Kelly Hitchcock from KH Fitness. We are talking about getting started with a fitness program. Kelly has owned and operated KH Fitness now for how long?
About 25 years.
Okay, and you've been a physical trainer for how long?
About 30 years.
Okay, and then prior to that, you were also doing some bodybuilding as well, right? For how long?
Yes, my first bodybuilding competition was 1987. Then probably 1991 was my last one for a while. And then when I turned 40, I decided I wanted to do another one. So, and I guess, Scott, that was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
So you haven't given it up?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I mean, I want to stay in good enough shape that if I ever decide that I want to do one, that, I could be ready in, say, 10 to 15 weeks, something like that.
The reason I wanted to do this, we're going to talk on maybe a week-to-week basis a little bit about health and fitness. But I've known you to be as passionate as anybody I've ever known about health and fitness and trying to get people to do the right things because they come in with so many myths and misguided ideas. So today I thought we'd just kind of take it as a Health Club 101, so to speak. I'm coming to you and the good news is, it is, at the time we do this recording, February 19th, which means everybody's already broken all their New Year's resolutions and stopped coming to the gym now. So there's room for me to come now. So now I want to start my fitness program. And so I'm going to come in here and say, I want to come in and I want to immediately lose 25 pounds and I want to have six-pack abs and I want to do it in 3 weeks, that kind of thought. Because I know that's what most people do when they come in with resolutions, right?
Sure, yes. Most people come in, and in the case that you're talking about right now, there are a lot of preconceived notions about what they think they should do, and so a lot of the time you're trying to help people learn. They need to unlearn these old myths or bad examples of what they need to do to achieve that goal. And that really is the first step that we take people through. Number one, we ask what the goal is. And then we usually will begin with, starting with the nutrition and talking about the exercises they need to do to attain that goal. A lot of times it's very contradictory to what they thought they should be doing, because a lot of people associate weight loss with starvation. Anytime we've lost weight, it's always been because we haven't eaten very much. They also think that when they start an exercise program that it's something they're going to have to do every day. And so that's why I think people, they don't look forward to it. It creates a lot of anxiety. And when they come in and we tell them, well, you're going to have to eat a little bit more. You're going to have to eat more frequently throughout the day. I mean, you can't go long periods of time without eating because eating frequently helps to maintain blood sugar. I think that they're confused about the amount of carbohydrates that we have them eating. Also protein and fat. Again, because everything that they've done in the past it's kind of counterintuitive to what we're telling them to do. But if you think about it, if that worked for them in the past, they wouldn't be here seeing us. So obviously that didn't work. I mean, it does work short term. I mean, anybody can, refrain from eating for a certain period of time, 6 to 8 weeks. But the question I always have is, what are you going to do after that? Mm-hmm. Because what we want to do is we want to create a lifestyle change, not a diet. I mean, we're all on a diet. But what we want to do is we want to help to develop a plan that it's something you can take right now and continue to do for the rest of your life.
And usually that's what the case is. Somebody will say, okay, I'm going to set a goal to lose X amount of weight. And they hit that goal by whatever means they decide to do it. And then immediately go back to the habits that they went into to get to the previous weight, and they automatically put that weight back on, and sometimes even more.
Sure, and once we were with people for a while, I like to go a little bit deeper into the psychology of it, because it's really the reason why we're failing at controlling our weight is because we're not really addressing the problem. And there's a great quote that I love. It says that it's not that we can't see the solution. It's that we can't see the problem. I mean, of course, the solution is to eat less. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, we're not addressing the problem. And a lot of times what that problem is the associations that we've made with food. And you look at today's society, everything we do revolves around food. And the problem is we're presenting food in very emotional situations. Think about, let's say if your kid gets straight A's, usually he'll get a gift certificate to McDonald's to get a free hamburger and a shake. So in the presence of happiness, we pair that with a shake and a hamburger. If our daughter breaks up with her girlfriend, a lot of times we'll rush out to get a yogurt. Sometimes, I also use Sundays. We all go to church on Sundays, and usually church is a very emotional experience for most people. And while those emotions are high, we go straight to the restaurant. And what's happening is there's this huge conditioned response that's occurring in emotional situations. We subconsciously rush to food. And so really, these are some things that need to be addressed when you're sitting down with a consultation for somebody. Like I said, this is something that comes out over time. It's not something that we hammer somebody with right off the bat, because a lot of times we're not at a point of readiness to hear these things or even think about it. We just think that we're making these decisions, where in reality, these decisions have been made for us subconsciously by the pairings of emotions and food. So that's something that really needs to be addressed.
Okay, I got several questions backing up to some things you've already said. First of all, you mentioned frequency of workouts, the thought that you've got to come in here and kill yourself 7 days a week for 6 months to get to where you want to go. Okay, and then you tell me that's not right.
Right. Well, let me give you an example. The most extreme that I train, I have girls that are competing in Miss Fitness competition. Now, these are girls that are, when they're competing, they're around 7% body fat. Okay. These girls are at the most working out 4 hours a week. Okay. Generally, they're working out 3 hours a week. So it's not getting into the gym every day working out. It's stressing the body in a manner that's going to allow it to adapt to your desired outcome. If you're wanting to increase your lean body mass a little bit, then there's a way to do that. If you're looking for a muscular endurance, there's a way to do that. If you're getting ready for a marathon, there's a way to do that. But it's all about training specificity. So, if you are trying to get that lean, tone, healthy body, if you can dedicate 3 hours a week, 45 minutes of weight training followed by 15 minutes of cardio, it's really all you need. The thing that's going to determine your success is really going to be the nutritional part. And I would say that that's as big as 80% of your success will be determined by what you eat.
All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to ask you, because you talked about how important the nutritional part of this is and how we view food, when you get into a program like what you're talking about, does that mean that at this point in time now I can never enjoy food again?
Not at all. And, that's one of the things we want to make clear. We never give food a forbidden label. Okay, I'll never tell you can't have a hot dog or pizza or hamburger or candy. You can have all of those things. The problem is when you make food forbidden, it creates a hyper intention to the thing that you can't have, the forbidden fruit, So just knowing that you can have whatever you want to helps to alleviate a lot of stress and anxiety that's tied up with these starting a new program. You can have all of that. You just can't do it every day. So you're going to enjoy food, but you're going to enjoy it in a new way. I used to look at food as something to do and the excitement that came from it, but now it's more a matter of it's just nourishment. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about the many health benefits that I receive rather than just the actual entertainment of it. And so it's a
you got to understand, though, I grew up in South Louisiana. Food was holiday for us. Okay?
Sure. No, that's, you can look throughout history, and that's what when we celebrate with food. Mm-hmm. At one time we didn't have a lot of it. Now we have access within 50 steps, probably north, south, east, or west. So we have definitely created an environment to match those desires. We just haven't really learned yet how to live in that world. And I think that we spend so much time being anxious about not eating that it ends up making us overeat. And so it's really learning how to look at food in a different way.
Okay, and then you mentioned the word overeat, and you just said a few minutes ago that one of the things that you tell your people when they come in to work out is that they're going to eat more. So what's the difference between overeating and eating more food?
Sure. Well, let me give you an example. A hamburger from McDonald's, just a basic hamburger, is going to have 30 grams of fat. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's not big, it's small. That's their smaller one. Okay, maybe a little lettuce and tomato, and the patty's really, really small. Okay, you eat that, and probably within 3 to 4 hours you're starving again, because that's not big, and it's very rare that we do just the hamburger. Mm-hmm. Okay, versus eating a couple of whole wheat tortillas with chicken wrapped up in it, with maybe some baked chips or maybe a piece of fruit, an apple. If you look at oatmeal, you're talking about a half a cup uncooked measured oatmeal with maybe 3 to 4 egg whites with 1 egg. I mean, the volume of food that you eat that's clean is double in size to the amount that what we just eat on the fly. And so when we educate you about how to mix your meals together, the protein, the carb, and the fat together, you never do one without the other. Number one, that stabilizes your blood sugar so you have energy all day long. Also, it's going to make you feel full all day long. So you're not going to believe when you sit down that I'm actually able to eat this whole plate of food. When people come in and see me eating, they go, is that one meal? You know, and it is. It's one meal because it's a lot of volume. And, you know, a good example, I just had surgery and I lost 20 pounds. And I've been trying to gain that 20 pounds back. And I mean, I'm eating till I'm almost sick. When you are eating food that's really clean, I mean, you have to eat a lot of food to gain weight. So the great thing is that you never feel like you're dieting. You know, you don't feel that deprivation, you know, that starvation. I mean, you feel full. And it's really, really hard mentally, I think, to wrap your head around, I'm eating this much food and I'm full and I'm actually going to lose weight. But if you can just stick with it and trust what we're telling you over the course of 3 weeks, you're going to start to see some changes.
And that was the next question I was going to ask. At what point do you start to notice some kind of effect that things are actually going in the right direction?
Well, I think within the first week, you're going to be shocked at your energy. You know, we're sold on the radio and on TV that, you know, are you exhausted, are you fatigued? Maybe it's the hormones, maybe it's the gluten, maybe it's the sugar, and it could be the sugar. But a lot of times it's just our eating habits are, we just have disordered eating. Okay, I mean, not an eating disorder, but disordered eating. We're maybe leaving the house and not having breakfast, having a little snack at lunch. And really what that does, it sets you up for a binge coming late at night. And you have this vicious cycle of the next morning waking up and feeling guilty because you ate so much. And so you don't eat, and you skimp on lunch, and then you overeat again at night. So it's really about helping people to plan their meals better, you know, making sure they understand the most important meal of the whole day is your breakfast. That really gets your metabolism jump started. And it also, eating every 3 hours, you don't tend to overeat because you know that you're going to be eating again in 3 hours. So, you know, it's about setting some structure. You know, a lot of us are not structured, but there's no greater feeling than, and I mean, like, you know, when you have an appointment book and you set up schedules, your day seems to run smooth. But if you forget that appointment book, it's just a little chaotic. And when you start learning how to make eating a priority, I mean, you're eating because it's time to eat, not because you're hungry, then you start to see this change in the way that you treat food and use food. And it's just so simple. It's the easiest thing you can do, and it's hard to believe once you get it for, say, a 6-week period, you're really hooked on it because it's easy to do. It requires a little bit of preparation, but, you know, what it leads to is so much greater.
I was going to ask you that. You're talking about the structure of this. If you're a salesman and you're in the car a lot and your schedule is not your own, it's kind of like whenever a client will see you. I mean, how realistic is it to be able to do what you're talking about doing in terms of scheduling your eating and workouts and all this kind of stuff around? Is that realistic with what you're talking about?
Oh, it's very realistic. I mean, we always say you do what's important. And, you know, it may require you getting up a little bit earlier. I mean, I have to be here at 5:30, so I get up at 4:30 so I can shower and eat my breakfast. That's very important. During the morning time hours, I don't have a big break. So what I do is I take a Cliff Bar in my pocket, and I have that at mid-morning. You know, I allow myself 1 hour for lunch, which most of us do. Right. If you are a car salesman, I know that you have a little break room. You know, you just got to make sure that you have your food there because I know that they have donuts setting out, things like that. And it could be a little bit harder depending on your environment, but it's definitely doable. And if it's something that you really want to change, then you'll do it. It'll be worth it to you.
Okay. The next time we do this, what I think we ought to do, because one of the things that I would like to talk to you about is the fact that you have been a bodybuilder. I've never come close to anything like that. You mentioned some women who had 7% body fat. That's in my little finger. So, you know, I want to talk to you a little bit about what realistic goals are and whether you have a one-size-fits-all kind of a plan, or what do you do for the 25-year-old who wants that, you know, 5% body fat and ripped look that I'm not going to get at 56?
Sure. Well, you know, what we do is we do prescriptive exercise and prescriptive nutrition. I mean, it's all very specific to each individual. I would love, it would be so simple for me to have one piece of paper with a meal plan on it, but that's just very deceptive if someone does that for you, because you're different. I need to know your body fat. I need to know what kind of job you have and when you can eat. I need to know what you will do as far as being realistic. That's just going to depend on what you tell me what your goal is, and then you tell me what you're willing to change.
Do you scream at people?
Never scream at people, because, I mean, I have learned over many years there was a lot of, I would say anger, but disappointment, because I thought that, God, the more I learned about it, the better I was going to be able to inform my people and have better success. But, in the end, all we can do is give you the information, and we can be supportive. And we're always there for our clients. I mean, they can call us at any time. But in the end, it's kind of a do-it-yourself project. But what happens because of it is just incredible. I mean, I've told people before that this will change your life. And you're thinking, well, changing my weight. And in reality, your weight is a reflection of your life. So if we can clean some things up over here, everything becomes a lot better. And that's really what our goal is.
If someone wanted to call you and ask you about some information, or wanted to email you or check out a blog or anything, where can they go?
You can go on Facebook and KH Fitness, and it's all one word. You could also reach me by email. It's khfitness@aol.com. And you could always call here at the gym, and our number is 903-581-0404.
Okay, was this painful?
Not at all.
This is good, because it's going to get that way, I promise.
Well, it's okay. I don't think so.
All right, Kelly Hitchcock, thanks a lot. And again, we'll be talking to you next time in a few days, and we'll talk a little bit about some of these specific plans for different types of people, different age groups, different kinds of situations.
Okay, well, thank you, Bryan, for allowing me to have this opportunity to spread the word a little more.
Thank you very much. Kelly Hitchcock and Bryan Houston, thanks very much for listening. We'll talk to you next time.